So when we are working with the traditional databases like Oracle, Sybase, etc., then we are going to use the concept of for all entries. Then we will use, then we will use for all entries. Otherwise, what we can do directly is when we are working with the powerful database like HANA, we can directly use the concept of joins to fetch data from multiple table together. We can directly fetch data from multiple table together. So I hope this thing is clear. Now, how many types of joins are there? How many types of joins are there? Let me just show you how many types of joins are there. So, joins. What you are going to see is we have got two types of joins. First one is your inner join and the second one is your outer join. Inner join and outer join. Inner join and outer join. So this inner joins returns the matching data from the tables. Matching data from the tables. And then we have the outer join. Outer join. It returns us the matching and non-matching data from the tables. This is a two important concept that outer join will return us the matching and non-matching data from the tables. So what is the meaning of matching data? What is the meaning of matching data? So let's say in my header table, I have 1012 105 rows, or let's say I have 1012 108 rows. And in my item table, I have got like 1012 105 rows. So which rows is more preferable for us? What will be the common between both of them?
What will be the common?
From 101 to 105, right? That will be common from both the tables.
Yes.
So that data will be returned by your inner join and outer join will return the matching data and non-matching data also. Outer join will directly return the matching and non-matching data also together. It is directly going to return you both the data, not a single one, but it is directly going to return you both the data. So let's see how we are going to achieve it. So I will open the server. Let me open it. And let's get back to our program, which we have created for our classical report. Now see, we no longer need both header structure, item structure. I can directly play with my final one. We can comment out our both header and items, internal table and work area. I can write directly based on this final internal table. Let's comment this thing also. Whole code, let's just remove it. Let's just remove whole code. So I have my select option. User is going to give us input. Now let's see how our code is going to look like. So this is how you will write a code. So whenever we use joins, we mainly prefer aliases. Aliases, do you know what is a alias? Alias.
Alias.
Yeah, it is used to give a name or namespace for a particular table. Okay. Since we are going to perform join over multiple table together, that is why here inside our code, we will prefer to give a particular namespace to a table. Okay. So this is how you are going to write your code. Select A. So what I'm going to do here is, let's say I'm giving my employee table name as A and project details table name as B. So this is how I will write my code. Select A with this tilde operator, and you are going to write the name of the columns. What is the column from your employee table? Employee ID, name, department, and manager, right? So this is how
Mm-hmm.
I'll write employee ID. Again, from your employee table, so A, alias name, employee name, then third one, that's A, department.
The alias name, what keys is it on the keyboard?
Yeah, this one.
What key is it on the keyboard? Where do I find it on the keyboard?
Okay, let me just show you on screen keyboard. This one you are required to press. Let me
Okay.
just show you. Wait. Yeah, shift plus this icon. Okay, this is known
Okay.
as tilde operator.
Okay.
Then again, A, tilde operator manager. So these are the columns from my employee table. Then for my project details table, let's say I've given a name here B. So B, its field, first field project ID. Then the second field, let's say project name. Now this is how all the columns will come from your table name. What is the table name? Employee table. Now here we will pass the alias name that we have used. So as is used to give a alias name. So I'm simply giving a name, let's say I am giving a name here A. Okay.
Can I give another name? Can I give something? Can I
Yes,
give
yes. If
A?
you want, you can give your name here as Michael also. Totally up to you. I told
Okay.
you, na, I am giving this name space. It doesn't matter what name space I'm going to give it, totally up to me.
Okay.
So
Understood.
from table name as A, then I will give join. Then I will give join your item table name. Let's say project details add B. Okay. Now this is how your join is going to look like. And if you are not, you can this join simply means inner join. Okay. If you want, you can use inner join also. Totally up to you. Inner join or join, same word. Okay. On now, on what basis we are joining these two tables? On what basis we are fetching data on joining these two tables we are required to pass here? So on alias name employee table, EMP ID equals to B EMP ID. Okay. When both the
Okay.
columns are equal, then it will return the data into table LT final, where A employee ID in your select option. A little bit complex code. Pretty printer, activate your program and see is there any error?
No
No,
error.
no. And if you will click on activate button, press here input and click on execute button and see the output. Is it perfect?
It's perfect. The same output as the last one, but shorter code.
Shorter code. So here we are able to easily get the output, but the situation here is this is only for your HANA database. When you are using for traditional database, this code, the efficiency of this code will decrease. Okay.
Okay.
So never use for traditional databases. Again, it's totally up to us what code we are going to use. Nobody is going to ask the question, but it is better to use only the optimized code. Otherwise, there can be a situation where my manager is not going to like it.
So
So
it's
this
not
one
going to
is
work in my ECC, for example.
it will work in your ECC system also. But you see, with our naked eye, we might not be able to see the performance issue because these things works in nanosecond, millisecond kind of time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But as a developer, we should only follow the standard approach that has been suggested, right?
Yeah.
So this is how I'm going to use the inner join. Now let's understand the situation of our uh, outer join.
Outside.
So for outer join, what I'm going to do is let's go to SM30 and let's go to SM30. And if I open my employee table, how many data is there? Okay, 6 data is there. Let's increase one more value here. Let's make it to 107. So new entries, let's say 107, employee name as Aniket, department as SCP ABAP, manager here as Amrit. Let's pass some salary. Okay, perfect. I have got like 101 to 107 record in my header table and only 101 to 105 in my item table. Now let's see how we can play with it. Let's see how we can play with it. So for your outer join, what you are going to see, outer join is of two types. Outer join is of two types. Two types. First one is left outer join and second one is your right outer join. Right
Okay.
outer join. So left outer join and right outer joins. See the definition here. What is the definition of left outer join? So left outer join takes out all the values from the left table and it combines them with the values from the right table that meet the criteria. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It takes out all the values from the left table and it combines them with the values from the right table that meets the criteria. Now, what is the meaning of it? The meaning of it is, Michael, that you can see here we have got 101 to 105 records from item, 101 to 105 records from header. They were the common data of both the tables, but when you are using the left outer join, it will also fetch the rest data from your header table also.
Mm-hmm.
That is, it is going to fetch all the data from your header and only the common data from the item. But when you will use the right day outer join, see what is how it is going to work. So the right outer join takes out all the values from the right table and it combines them with the values from the left table that meet the criteria. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It combines all the values from the left table that meet the criteria. That is, it is going to fetch out the data from both header and item table. First, the common data from both the tables and rest of the data from the right table. Okay. So this is
Okay.
how you will be able to Get it? So when you want to perform the implementation, so you can simply write here left outer join. Let's say left outer join. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
activate it, execute it, and execute it. See,
Okay.
is it perfect?
Yeah.
This is how you are going to work. So whenever you get a requirement where all there might be some data in the right side, okay, and only common data in the left side, then in that situation you can use the right outer join. Totally up to you. Nobody is going to ask the question. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's move to next topic, and the next topic is message classes. Let me just open it.
You have not sent this document to me, have you?
I have already sent the entire document of this chapter. Please look
Okay.
into it. So message classes. What do you think? What is a message? What is a
Message is a note to someone or about something.
okay? So if I say here, if I am activating it, every time I'm getting something message, some message here. If I'm checking the syntax, I'm getting a message here, right?
Yes.
So your system helps you to understand how whatever the program that you are writing, is it correct? Is it syntactically correct or not? Your system is going to help it that whatever program that you have written, is it syntactically correct or not. This is a simple message. So if there is something issue, you can see here this is green. If there is some issue, we are getting a right message now. Sorry, a red color message, error message, right?
Yes.
This is how your system is going to help you so that you can write only the correct code and you will be able to get the output correctly. So this is the concept of messages. The message here says message plays a very crucial role in ABAP programming. Okay, message classes, message class in ABAP. Messages plays a very crucial role in ABAP programming. A message is a text. Now, what is a message? So, a message is a text that provides us the information to the user or a programmer about what is happening when your code will execute, right?
Yeah.
So this is the job of a message. It is a text that provides us the information to the user or a programmer about what is happening when your code will execute. Now, what is the transaction code to create a message class? So, the transaction code to create a message class is SE91. Okay, the transaction code to create a message class is SE91. So let's go to SE91 and create a message class for us. SE91, and you can see here message maintenance initial screen. Give any message class name, and by default when we are going to create any custom object, the name will always start with message. So let's say I'm giving a message ZAR message Michael for you. I'll go for create button. I will provide here a short description as usual. So message class for ABAP training. Now I'll go to message tab, assign your package, and transport request. And by default, you can see in the messages tab, we have got 3-digit character numbers here from 000 up to, let me just show you, up to how much? 999.
Triple
Okay.
nine.
So within a single message class, you can store up to 1000 messages. You can store up to 1000 messages. So let's write here. Let's say I want to display something. What should I display? So let's say employee data do not exist in my table. This is the text I want to display. I'll simply activate it. Or let's say I'll save it. You don't need to activate it, just save it. Okay. Message is saved, right? Once our
Yes.
message is saved, we can directly use it. Just copy the message name, just copy the message class, and here, let's say I am fetching the data. Okay. So if this data, if no data is going to come into my final table, it simply means that this data do not exist in my tables, right?
Yeah.
So let's say I'm writing if LT final is not initial, that is, it is not empty. If it is not empty or it is not initial, what I can do here that I will give here a message class, or in else condition, I will display the output. Okay, if it is not empty, if it is not empty, we will display the output is not initial. But if it is empty, we will display the message, right? So let's say message. Message is the keyword which is used to display any message class. Now, before displaying the message, I would like to show you types of message here. How many types of messages are there?
Are there? Hmm.
How many types of messages? So types of messages in ABAP program. So there are six types of messages, six types of messages in ABAP program. Out of which the first one is abort, abort, abort message, or you can
What
give here
message?
A. A you can directly give while using inside the code. Another one is your error message. You can use E for it. Another third one is your information message. Information message. You can use I for it. Fourth one is success message. You can use S for it. Fifth one is warning message. For it, you can use W inside your code. And at last, we have exit message, and its keyword is X. So out of these six messages, the most used message while ABAP programming is these three: error, information, and success. Okay, error,
These are the most used
information, and
three.
success. Yeah, most use of them because most of our work is done while using these messages. So we are not like playing with these things. Totally up to you. Again, I'm telling you that there can be 100 ways to do a single task. Okay, but what way you are preferring it, totally up to you. Nobody is going to question you. So here I will use these three: error, information, and success. So let's go. So let's say I want to display a error message if this data is not there. Okay, so message E for error. Okay, E for error. And then what I will do, I will simply give the message number. What is the number here? 000. So copy it and paste it. Now inside the parenthesis, you will pass the name of your message class. Inside the parenthesis, you will pass the name of your message class. Okay. This is how you will display. This is a global message. One more important stuff, Michael. This is a global message. It has been defined in AC91 transaction code. Because we have defined it globally, we can use it in as many programs as we want. Global message. Okay, are you there? Are you there,
Yeah,
Michael? So
yeah, yeah.
we can display any global message using the number and based on the message class. This is the types of message, error message I'm going to display. So I'll activate my program. I will execute it, and let's say I'm giving an input from let's say I'm giving an input from 1010, which is not there in my system, and I will go for execute. See the magic. Employee
Employee
data do
data does
not
not
exist
exist
in
in
my
my.
table. If you want to display a success message, let's just display it, enter something 10, again 1110 to 115, execute it. See, this time you will get success message with green color. If you want
Mm,
to display a warning message, or let's say if you want to display information with I, so execute it 1110 to 115, execute this thing and see. This is how your
mm,
information message is displayed. And if
interesting.
you will enter the correct input, let's say if you'll enter the correct input, 1012, 105 or 107, see here, you'll get the output correctly.
Mm,
So
interesting.
messages are very crucial for us to make us understand what is the problem with our code. Okay, what is the problem with our code? So this is global message. You can also pass your local message by simply writing in this way message, let's say error, no, message, just write any text. Okay, let's say
Mhm.
this time I'm writing text as I have not given correct employee ID. This time I'm passing this text, type error for E. Okay, this is how you can pass it. Just activate this program, execute it, and let's say I'm giving 1110, 115, execute this thing and see. I have not given correct employee ID. So, but this will be a local message and you will not be able to reuse it in other programs. Okay, you will not be able to reuse this thing in other program. I hope this thing is clear. I hope
Okay.
this thing is clear. Okay, is it clear?
Can
This
you
is a
repeat
local.
that once again?
Uh, Once again, okay, let's just comment this stuff first. Uh, what I'm saying is that message within single quotes, just type the message, not correct employee ID or employee range, and type, you will pass the type. Let's say this time I'm passing information I. Okay, activate it, execute it, just pass any wrong value and execute it. See, you are getting the message.
Not correct employee range.
Whatever the text that you are going to pass inside the single quotes, that will be displayed. Okay,
Okay.
this is how to display a message. This is how we are going to display a message. I hope you will be able to display any kind of message. See, you can play it, you can give here if size of RC is not true, you can give here is not initial. Again, if you want to display a message when your data is being displayed, you can do anything, totally up to you. Okay,
Okay.
now next topic. So let's move on to next topic. Next topic is creating transaction codes. Let's say creating transaction code for ABAP program. Do you remember we had created a transaction code for our Tables,
Mm-hmm.
we had created a transaction code for our tables. Now we are going to create a transaction code for ABAP program. What is the transaction code to create a transaction? Tell me.
What is what?
What is a transaction code to create a transaction?
What is
Remember
it?
at in which transaction code we created a transaction code for our table?
SC11.
AC11 we created a transaction code.
We created in SC38.
38. This is for ABAP program. SC93. Okay.
Ah,
SC93. If you will not revise it, you will eventually forget it. Okay. So but we will simply here we'll go to SC93 and let's see how we can create our ABAP, our transaction code for our ABAP program. So let's move on to SC93 and here you will give a transaction name. So let's say that Michael report create, provide a short description. So transaction code for our ABAP program. Now, in this start object, in the for creating our transaction code for our table, we had selected this particular radio button, which was transaction with parameters. Transaction with parameters, right? Now, when you
mm-hmm.
will create a transaction code for your ABAP program, this time you are going to select this particular radio button, which is program and selection screen for report, right? Click
Mm-hmm.
on OK button here. By default, you can see in the selection screen, you will get the 1000 number. Do you remember what is the default screen name number of your selection screen? What is the default screen number of your selection screen? The default
1000.
screen number of your selection screen is always 1000. So whenever you are going to execute this particular transaction code, by default, we will go to selection screen. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we will never risk to show our program and we will never provide access of our program to our end users or customer because they might destroy the written code and then we will have to write it again, which is not possible, right? So simply copy the code and paste it here. Now select the GUI support as usual, just always mark the GUI support, which is all again a standard way. Now click on save, sign the package and transport request, and now your job is done. Your transaction code is ready. Your transaction code is ready. So copy it and this session and paste it over the easy access and press enter. See, just pass any input and get the output. When you will pass the wrong input, when you will pass the wrong input, you will get the message. So now we no longer need to play, we no longer need to go to SC38 and execute it to get the output. We can directly create a transaction code for our report and we can directly get the output there.
Extract
Okay.
it. Mm-hmm.
So one more stuff. I told you for every screen there is a program written in behind it, right?
Yes.
So now what you can do, whatever transaction code you are using, you can directly go to SC93. Let's say if you want to see the program of your SC11, you can write it, click on display mode, and you can see here by default there is a program behind dd/start, data dictionary start. See here, a
Yeah.
report has been written. This guy is calling a method. If you will go to inside this method is calling this function module. If you'll go inside it, it is again calling some method. So this is a lot of code. They are all are linked together, but slowly and gradually you will be able to build your own code like this way. But you will have to
Okay.
work a lot. If you want to become a pro in any field, you will have to work a lot. This is the only way to master any technology or any particular course. So we can create our AC transaction code for any ABAP program directly from AC93, no issue. So let's move on to next topic. The next topic is best programming practices.
Best programming practices.
Yeah, best programming practices during ABAP programming. Some important thing that we should use. One is never ever use star or asterisk sign in the select query. Never ever use it. Instead, we will always pass the column names for our table. Can you tell me why I'm you saying that never ever pass the star sign? We'll always only pass the columns names in our for our table. Let me just show you. Here I have only passed the column names, right? I have only passed the column names, right?
Yeah.
But if I say, if what would have happened if I had used the star here? See, the problem with a star and or asterisk sign is that it is going to fetch all the data, all the columns together. Okay. So let me open a item table. Let's say I'm opening an item table called VVAP, which is sales order item table. How many columns are there in this table? 494, right?
494.
So 494 columns are there here. So the
Yes.
problem here is if 494 columns are there and if I am using star sign, all these 494 columns will come to my application layer and they will be stored in the internal table,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But with this, there is a problem, and the problem is how many times you think we are going to use all the columns in a program? How many times you think? Very rare. Nobody uses. Mostly, you are going to write in any program. Whenever you are going to write any program, you will mostly be using 10 to 15 columns. At the maximum, let's say 20 or 30 columns. With
Mm-hmm.
different kind of requirement, whatever the requirement is, we will accordingly use these columns. Okay,
Yeah.
we will accordingly use this column. So 494 columns, there is no meaning of directly bringing them and storing it over the application layer. So instead of that, we will directly pass the column names. Because if you will directly pass the star, your compiler will hit the database and it will load all the data. Loading data of 494 columns can be complex. It will only impact the performance of your SAP system. So always go for best programming guideline. Never ever use star in the select query. Instead, we will pass the column names, right?
Yeah.
Another one, let's see. Column fetching sequence. Another one is column fetching sequence needs to be same as that of, wait a second, I'll call. All right. So column fetching sequence needs to be same as that of data dictionary column. Are you there?
Yes.
Data dictionary column. What is the meaning of it? Just see Michael here. If I go to my this VBAP table, there are 494 columns. So let's say I am only fetching data like this way. Posner, then I am going for VBLN, or let's say I'm first fetching Matner, then I am going for VBLN, and then I am going for this one. So how your compiler will this time fetch the data? It will go VBLN, Posner, and Matner. It got the first row. Now it will again go back Posner and VBLN, then it will get the second row. Now then it will come to MATWA and it will get the third column. Is this a good approach? Never, na.
No.
So whenever you are going to fetch the data, your column fetching sequence will always needs to be same as that of your data dictionary column. It needs to be same as that of your data dictionary column. Okay.
Yes.
It needs to be same as that of your data dictionary column. This is the second. And the third one is never use, never use corresponding keyword. I have not also taught it to you. We should never use the corresponding keyword because corresponding keyword is only used when we are using mostly select with let me just check where is the server. See, corresponding we only use now when we are going to fetch data using the star keyword. Okay, when we are using star key or asterisk sign to bring the all the data from the table, then we use corresponding keywords to store them accordingly in the internal table. But wait. Yeah, hello.
Hello?
Yeah, just see here. When we go for star sign now, when we go for a star sign, we bring all the data and we store them using corresponding keywords in our internal table. But since we are not using the star sign, so we should never use this thing also. Never ever use the corresponding keyword. There might be a situation where your interviewer can ask what are the some best programming practices during ABAP programming. So never use corresponding keyword is one of them. Okay.
Okay.
Then fourth one. The fourth one is for traditional databases, avoid using join, go for all entries, go for all entries, for all entries. For fetching records, when we fetch data from the dependent tables, for fetching records from the dependent tables, right? When we use the for all entries,
Mm-hmm.
we should always check for size avarsi condition or if not initial. Do you remember? If not initial condition which we used before fetching data using for all entries. So for fetching record from dependent tables, we should always check for size avarsi condition or if not initial. It is the best way. Then the sixth one will be, let's say, use binary search. Okay, instead of instead of linear search. Use binary search instead of linear search. And for multiple condition, use case statement. I believe you know why we should use case statement instead of if. We have already discussed this thing in a detail. You remember it?
Yes.
So for
Mm-hmm.
multiple condition, we will always go for case statements. These are some of the best programming guidelines we should always prefer. We should always understand and we should always use them. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Very beautiful concept. Now let's move on to the next one, which is classical report events. Classical report events. 6. Classical report events. Very important. Most important ever in the ABAP programming. Anybody, usually, whenever you go for any ABAP interview, we can expect this question should be asked. Classical report
Okay.
events. Okay. So before directly jumping to the classical report events, we are required to understand what is a event. Tell me, what is a event? What do you think? How will you define an event? If
Something that
somebody is
happened.
coming to you and asking you this question, hey Michael, I need the answer. What is the event? What will be your answer, Michael? How will you define an event?
Event is something that happened at a particular time.
Event is something that happens at a particular time. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Like probably a party that
Okay.
happened at a particular time.
Event is something that happens at a particular time, that happens at a particular time, probably party, right? This is
Yeah.
the definitions according to you, probably party. But can I say this in a web programming?
No.
No, no. What do you think? When I'm opening my system, I'm giving my credential here. Let's say I'm giving my credential here. When I'm giving my credential here, what is happening over the system? How system is realizing? When I pressed the enter button, how system understand that whatever credential I have entered is correct or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a logic has been written behind that particular enter button. When I press the enter, that logic was triggered, and that logic searched for my data inside the database, that if this credential is there inside my SAP system or not. If it is, they allowed me to enter the SAP system, and I got this SAP access screen, right?
Yes.
When I'm clicking on this button, what is happening? When I'm clicking on this button, how my system is realizing that I'm asking him to log off? How my system is realizing? Because when I'm clicking on this button, a event is being triggered. That event is taking us to the back of the that particular logic, and that in that particular logic, we have written that whenever we are on the SAP access screen, and when I will click on this yellow button, this particular pop-up should come, right?
Yeah.
So what is the event? So event will always trigger. Event is always trigger. Event is always triggered by a specific action, by a specific action, or a specific occurrence. Event is always triggered by a specific action or a specific occurrence when a particular time is when a particular time has been reached. What is the meaning a particular time has been reached? So a specific action, I'm performing any action like pressing, scrolling my mouse, clicking on any particular button, pressing enter, any kind of action by a user. This is called specific action. What is the meaning of a specific occurrence? That is when a particular time has been reached. So let's say I'm leaving this screen for 10 minutes, it will be automatically logged out, right? When my
Yes.
system realizes that I am not performing anything over the system, it is trying to avoid, it is trying to reduce the costing that I will have to pay to SAP system, so that it is simply logging out, right?
Yes.
The same thing is applied in your SAP system, in your ABAP programming, in your classical report, the same thing is applied. Somebody can ask you what is classical events or report events, anything they can ask you. The answer will be, let's find it out. How many classical report events or how many report events are there? So mostly we are going to see 9 kinds of event, 9 kinds of events, 9 kinds of events. Out of which the very first one is initialization. 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 What do you think? What is the meaning of initialization is?
To start something,
To start
to
something, right? Or
initiate
can I
something.
say that to initialize something?
Yes.
What is the meaning of initializing something in technical perspective? That is, we are giving some value, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are giving some value. So initialization is used for initialization part. So how we will define it? So the definition of it is, first, initialization, initialization event is triggered before displaying the selection screen or input screen. Okay.
Okay.
It is displayed before displaying, it is triggered before displaying the selection screen or input screen. If you see here, let's create a program for our Z, let's say classical report events. Let's say Michael for MI. I'll go for create button. I'll provide a title, classical report events, select executable program, pass the package and transport request. So we have to discuss the initialization. Initialization is triggered before displaying the selection screen or input screen. That is, when I'm clicking on the execute button, selection screen always appears, right? Selection
Yes.
screen always appears. So just before displaying your selection screen or input screen, initialization event is triggered. Okay. And
Yes.
what is the purpose of initialization? The purpose of the initialization event is to assign the default values to parameters and select options. Okay.
Yeah.
Parameters and select options. The purpose of the initialization event is to assign the default values to parameters and select options. Let's see. Let's say I'm creating a parameter here, parameter employee ID, type the data element, which is employee ID. Then I'm giving here select option, hyphen option. I'm giving here SEMP ID for LVMP ID. This is the parameter and select option. So this is the parameter and select option, P employee ID, and select option is S employee ID. Again, let's define the variable for our select option. Without it, there is no meaning of select option. So LV employee ID for, oh sorry, type the data element of my employee ID, which I'll pass here directly. So I've created a select option in parameters. Now, what is the use of initialization event? initialization event is always triggered before displaying the selection screen, and its purpose is to assign the default values to the parameters and select options. So here initialization, oh sorry, initialization. Inside this initialization, what you can do, you can pass your default values. P employee ID, let's say equal to 101. I will click on activate button. I will click on execute button and see
Wow.
it. Default value will automatically come. I've already told you, you can directly pass your default, totally up to you. But the situation is, this is the reason for this initialization event, that this guy is going to be triggered just before you can check it. If you will put a debugger here, click on execute button, just displaying before displaying the your selection screen, this guy will always triggered. And you can see here I have put a debugger inside the initialization event, so it got triggered. And after it, our your selection screen will open. Okay,
Okay.
so that is why I am able to uh, enter some value for parameter. Now I have to pass the value for select option. How many components are there for select option? Do you remember how many components
Mhm.
are? There were four components, right?
Yeah.
Sign. The another one was option. Then low.
Yeah. I can't
I.
remember offhand.
Okay, no issue. Please try to revise it.
I have
So
to cram them. I have to cram these things.
okay. So components of select options are sign, option, low and high. So what we will do, we will pass the data accordingly if we want to give a direct value over the selection screen. So select option hyphen first component sign. So we want to include, so I, this is how we see in the debugging, we are seeing in the debugging mode for our select option, right? When we first saw the select option, you can, I have explained, you can go to debugging mode and you can get the value. This was the value that was coming. So now I am directly passing sign option. Let's say for between, I will pass the BT as employee ID. Uh, for low, I will pass, let's say range 101. And for the high, we will pass the high range, which is, let's say 105. Okay. Now activate it and click on execute button. Why I am not getting data here? What do you think? Why I am not getting data here?
Hmm.
Whenever you are going to use select option for initialization event, you will always have to append its data. Okay, otherwise it
Okay.
will not come, because there are multiple components over here. So we will append SEMP ID, your select option. Now it will appear there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now it will appear. So this is your initialization event. Now the second one, add selection screen. I believe its definition is by default clear. So we are at selection screen now, right? We have surpassed the initialization event. So this is the event is at selection screen, and see what is the, when this event will trigger. So this event triggers when a user performs some actions on the selection screen. Some action means like pressing enter or any click on the button, anything. Okay. When you perform
Okay.
anything, any kind of work over the selection screen, this event will trigger. What do you think? What is the purpose of this event? What do you think? What is the purpose of this event?
Maybe to help the screen start.
No. We are at selection screen. Selection screen is an input screen. What could be the purpose of this event? When we are performing any button, this event is triggering. The purpose of this event is to validate the input field. Okay, whatever the
Okay.
input that user is giving, is it correct or not? This add selection screen event is used to validate the input field. So what you can do now directly here, is you can go to add selection screen event. You can write add selection screen event, and inside it you can validate your field. So let's say add selection screen. Now within this add selection screen, I am going to write the logic. So add selection screen. Let's say I'm checking my employee ID parameter value. So if p employee ID, p employee ID, p employee ID uh, is equal to, let's say, 102, I will this time display message uh, correct employee ID, type S, or else we will display message incorrect employee ID, incorrect employee ID, type E for error, single quotes, type E for error. And I will go for and if, and I will activate my program. Now, Michael, just to see how what is going to happen. I will put a debugger over here. I will click on execute. Now I will enter the selection screen and just see I'm pressing enter.
Okay.
We went to debugging mode at line 25. Your So this is the meaning of validation. You can write a validating logic over here. You can write a validating logic here, and accordingly your program will execute. Validating logic simply means you can check the validation. You can write a select query here, and you can check whether it is fetching data or not, and accordingly you can display the message. So let's say I only wanted 102 data, but my data is 101. So when I'm pressing enter, I will get this message. But when I will go for 102, this time I will get the success message.
Yeah.
This is the purpose of your add selection screen event. Okay. Then the third one, third one, start of selection. Okay.
Okay.
Start of selection. Start of selection event. Start of selection event triggers when we press or when we click on execute button on the selection screen. Okay.
Okay.
When we click on execute button, that is when I will click on this execute button on the selection screen, your start of selection event will trigger. Is this thing clear?
Mm-hmm.
So let me just comment out these things now. Now I will, so this will trigger at the when we will press the execute button on the selection screen, or let's say F8 button, same thing, on the selection screen. But what will happen? Why we need it? What do you think? Where we are going to use this event? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when we are going to use it?
When are we going to use it?
So the definition of it is selection logic is the part of this event. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
selection logic, that is we are going to write all the logic for it. So let's say define a structure here upon our employee data, begin of ty employee. Let's define a structure, employee type, employee name, its type, and then manager, its type, and salary. Sorry, man, after that department was there, no? Department, its type. Then what I'll do here is I will define data, LT employee, type, table of TY employee, and then I will define work area, LS employee, type, TY employee. Okay.
Okay.
So start of selection. Start of selection. Okay. Here you are going to write all the selection logic, that is all our query. Select employee ID, employee name, department, manager, from employee table into multi employee, where employee ID in SCMP ID. Okay. Now LT employees, if LT employees not initial, is not initial,
Mm-hmm.
I will display my data. So let's say CL demo output, which we used in the previous session, and it's a display method. Just pass our internal table LT employee over here, pretty printer, activate it, edit. There is some issue, CL demo output. Now execute, just put a debugger over here. Okay. And see when this start of selection event will trigger. Let's just pass here some input 101 to 105. And when I will click on execute button here, see our start of selection event will trigger. This event will be triggered just when you are going to press uh, execute button over your selection screen. At the same time, this event will trigger and accordingly you will get your output. Okay,
Okay.
very important event. So are you able to understand this thing?
Yeah.